Okay friends, I'm not going to show my face for long, but today, as promised, I'm going to show you a program that I have been researching for quite a few months, and now I have it in practice for the last couple months, and I'm ready to show you inside and talk about it. That is Mosa Mack Science, which is secular for grades 4 through 8. So stick around with me if you want to see inside. Welcome back friends, if you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, I have Mosa Mack Science to show you. It is for grades 4 through 8, so if you have middle schoolers or upper elementary kiddos, make sure to stick around. I'm going to walk you inside what you see online because this is completely available online. When you purchase your access to it, is all your student side, your teacher side, everything is online. Can you print things? Absolutely. We're going to go over all that stuff. But you don't receive any physical product besides like, here's your access code. And that I think was an email. So I spent an enormous amount of time trying to research different resources, especially science, we're a science heavy home. And I could barely find any information on this. I do know that some schools, public schools or traditional school settings have used this program. And I've seen it highly rated by some classroom teachers, and then not much information from the homeschool arena. You are able to see like previews of the Mosa Mack animation series on their channel. You can see a few of them to get a feel, but know that it's not only animations. As you will see, I will show you that you have the option, if your kiddo's just like, I don't want to watch the animated part, then you can actually see the realistic, where you're actually looking at the real cells, body, whatever it is, videos instead. If your kiddos are like mine, they want to watch both because they just can't get enough. So this is a very concise, and a lot of information is given to you, but I think it's laid out in a way that is not overwhelming and easy to navigate. So I am going to flip you around, and actually we're going to screencast, and I'm going to walk you through everything inside. So let's get to it. Know that you can do a free lesson trial without having to do all the sign up stuff or ordering, so you can get a good idea of it. So this is what it looks like on my end, and I just wanted to give you kind of like a brief overview. Now the first thing I wanted to note to you, which you can see without purchasing, is the scope and sequence. So because Mosa Mack covers grades 4 to 8, you can see exactly where it aligns and what is taught for each one. So let's look, for my sake, we're going to look at 6th and 7th grade. But you can, if you have a kiddo that's 4th, 5th, whatever, you can look at that here with the integrated in NGSS, and you can see exactly what standards is meeting, if that's important to you or not. So right here, as you can see, the disciplinary core ideas, so energy from molecules to organism. It gives you a time frame as well. So this one is like 9 to 12 weeks. Hereditary, this is like the next unit, 2 to 3 weeks. Earth science, 6 to 9 weeks. Earth and human activity, 2 to 3 weeks, and it goes from there. So you can see basically a snapshot of a year if you were to follow it exactly as this kind of lays it out. Know that, and you will see in just a little bit how I'm going to show you that you really don't have to follow it exactly as this. You can kind of jump around, especially if you're using more than one science like we are, and go ahead and do something different to align with what you're doing. So let me just go back. Actually, I went back too far out, but just so you can see a difference. So let's go into 8th grade. You can download, print this, put it in your planner, put it in whatever folio or anything that you have going on, and you can do that as well. So design techniques you see right here, and that's all like laid out for you, this scientific method. So for example, 7 to 8 weeks in motion and stability, 2 to 3 weeks in energy, 2 to 3 weeks in ways, hereditary 2 to 3 weeks, biological evolution 5 to 6 weeks, Earth and space in the universe. And absolutely, this is secular. This is a program that is used in some of the schools as well. But I did not find in the homeschool arena or videos a lot about it. I did find some previews to some of the videos of the Mosa Mack, the animated series part, which I was happy to find, but I did not find like a lot of reviews that kind of gave me an in and out of it. And come on, let's go back. All right, so here I don't have this set up like all the bells and whistles that a regular teacher would have, like everything would be laid out here. I don't use this because I'm not managing multiple classes and multiple children. Yeah, I'm managing 2 kiddos, but not enough to do that. But you can definitely do that, especially with bigger families, and you can add in your own lessons and you can assign it. I'm going to show you, we did set up Google Classroom for my kiddos because I just wanted them to get used to that idea of being able to like transfer that information over and to click at their assignments and do it in like, you know, a similar manner that if you do it in a school, so they know that task. So here, for example, if you go to the library on here, so I have everything listed by category here on this side, but also you can get a snapshot video here, and there's some ratings as well. And then you can see like right here it says year 1 design technique, mutations, thermal energy. And this is something like if you want to pick a specific topic, you can totally go into looking right at this way. Or if you're just kind of like browsing through, I'm just going to give you a little idea by just like scrolling down and showing you what that all looks like. But then we're going to go into an actual unit and you can see how it's broken down. But just so you can see the content, it's quite a bit. Again, this is for grades 4 to 8. So there's going to be a range of things that are available to you. Just for example, in Mosa Mack's Plant and Animal Structures unit, students are led through a progression of 3 inquiry lessons that focus on comparing the plant and animal structures and its function. And then it tells you a bit more about that. So let's just, let's click it, see what's up. And then here you can see like the whole entire like overview of what this is about. So lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. So I already told you this is a 3-lesson unit. So maybe you want to incorporate a short lesson in between your regular curricula, or maybe you want something longer to fill a bigger gap. You would be able to tell that as well. So here, lesson 1, it says solve killer giraffe mystery and vocabulary mind map. Solve a plant and animal mystery, explore plants and animal structure, complete a quiz. Now this quiz is something that I can send over, setting it up as for them to log in into their own Mosa Mack, or if I just set it up in like Google Classroom so they didn't have like too many logins. And that's something that I just found helpful. Just wanted to mention that. So here, then the second one, you have the lab. So you have a lot of like interactive things with Mosa Mack. So I like that, the hands-on and like the investigative and making sure that you do right and everything in between. So here, the lab station, compile a field guides. You compare structures and functions of plants and animals. And you can see for yourself here. And then the third part is the engineering. And then you would go to the unit, if this is the unit you wanted to do. And then you will see right here, you could always go back to all your units. You can go ahead and assign it to your students. You would set that up. I'm kind of jumping here because you could, you set up your students and all that stuff ahead of time. But I just wanted to give you a little overview before we get to the nitty gritty of it. And then you can see here the lesson, and here are the symbols. These are things that you learn what they mean, the engineering, a lab, and the solve. Right? And then here's like if you had multiple classroom, like a classroom teachers, here you could also make your own tests. So you don't have to use what's provided. If you want to make your own type of test, maybe you're more Charlotte Mason and you want to make it more conversational or narrative or whatever, then you can do something like that. Or use what they have. Then there's some level reading that is provided for you. Share student work, get feedback, share with colleagues, whatever. That's stuff that is probably not going to mean anything to you. Again, so here you have the overview, the next generation standards. If you are in a place that you need to stay standard aligned, this is going to go right there. Maybe your kiddo, you're just transitioning and you're only going to do homeschooling for a set amount of time. Totally fine. You can go ahead and make sure that they stay within the traditional setting by doing this. Or maybe your child is going into a science field and you want to make sure that you are hitting the same things or adding to it. Like we use multiple different sciences and we interweave like several things. This is the inquiry scale. Each lesson in this unit has an inquiry scale that provides directions on how to implement the lesson at the level that works best for you and your student. So here, level 1 is most teacher driven and the recommendation for students 4th and 5th. So if you're teaching multiple different ages, this will help you figure out what instructions and things things to use based on your kiddos' capabilities or where they're at developmentally. So level 4 is the most student driven, and it's recommended for students 7th and 8th grade. So see, my daughter would be in this range, right? Where my son would be more in a, like, you know, he's good with science, but it's not his thing. Where my daughter is like a science whiz. For differentiation with the same grade or class, use different inquiries. Anyways, it has like common misconceptions. So you can talk about these things. So these are additional talking tips. You have like, this is just the overview. This is not the actual lesson. So vocabulary, you have all, a glance ahead. So if you want to have to prepare some materials or things that you want to just get a little bit more creative, you will know what that is. And then content expert is going to tell you who it is. I love that, especially when things that comes like to science, language arts and things like that, or history. I really want to know whose voice is telling me this stuff and their credentials. That's just me. Totally just me. Okay, so then you have the level readers, this is additional things. So Mosa Mack is piloting a partnership with Rocket Lid, a provider of level science articles. So that is pretty cool. So here, let's see, how do birds stay warm? You can click on that. And you can go, I'm not going to go and click on that, but you can go to Rocket Lid, and then you can, actually, let's go to it. Let's go. All right, here we go. And then you can right here, and you have a level reader for here. So evolution unit, and you have additional things. And look at the bar up top. So you even have all the way 3rd and 4th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th, and all the way up for these level readers. So I really do appreciate it. So let's look at 8th grade. So this is the same topic, and you also can download so over 500 science and history articles. That's pretty cool. So you have that with the same topic. So let's say for a high schooler, and you're just going to see how that differs a little bit, right? All right, so let's just exit out of that and then just go back. And that is your overview of the unit. So if you click under lesson 1, so let's say you're ready to give a lesson, this is where the cool stuff happens. All right, normally it's in a different sequence if you want it. So here we're under plant and animal structure. We already did the unit overview so we can get a good idea, so we can plan ahead. I would not say this is open and go, even though everything is very scripted and given to you. You do need some time to prep and know what you're doing ahead of time. You can go ahead, and this is pretty rad, and print your lesson plan. If you're a paper and pen type of person like I am, you can print it. If you just want to view it digitally, totally. These time requirements are going to be different with a homeschooler. Obviously, we don't have the same interruptions and things like that a classroom teacher does. So I would just take the time with a grain of salt. So the objective is given to you in the solve, the student will, and then this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and steps those out. Then you're going to have the materials that is required, the student guide, includes student agenda, the vocabulary handout. There's going to be stuff that you're going to be able to print out to give to your kiddos, or you can use their notebooks. We use this notebooks from School Nest, and we have been using it since she's released, and we didn't even buy a new science notebook. We're just using the same one, and it's held up pretty great. So we just continue to use that, and they look at the prompts on the computer. That's just how we do it. But you can do it all digitally if you like. Safety consideration, if there is any, and then science and engineering practices are also something that is highlighted here. So the episode description, so you have the animated series, but there's also videos that are not animated as well. So maybe your kiddo's not into the animated part. That's totally fine. My child loved it. It did not feel like she was being talked down to or anything like that. I'll talk about my oldest because I think that's very relevant when you're looking at animated type of series and things like that with older children. Is it babyish? It's just something that they're just gonna roll your eyes at you, and she did not feel like that. She really enjoyed it, but you also have the non-animated things. So this is just one page that you can just go ahead and print and go about your day. And print. So here is a student guide. So if you have a child that is pretty independent, or you want to give them a sense of autonomy and things like that, or you just want to hand this over, I think this is definitely something that they should have access to regardless. So the vocabulary here has everything else to go with that. So these are just instructions of doing that with the vocabulary if you choose to do it in that way. Here's a mind map. This is just for this particular unit. That you're going to see that these different activities. So here, just having like a little kinesthetic type of learning going on there. And then here you have like the different definitions. And then you have a like a little quiz and things like that. Episode, not a quiz, but they're episode questions. So there is questions that I'm going to show you that you can actually answer them, not on paper, but digitally, after they watch the episode and check for comprehension and understanding and for further talking points and things like that. So that continues on. But again, if your kiddo is just not someone that does a lot of things on the computer, you can definitely print them. So that is pretty rad. I like that you can print them instead of relying that everything is online. All right, so that is the student guide. Here again is where you can assign, but we are going to wait for that. So now let's see if I just want to send this lesson. Obviously, they will have to be able to log in and send this lesson to my kiddo to, okay, this is what the part you have to do. You can click and copy this and include it in like an email, Google Classroom, or whatever now. So that's that. All right, so here you have you can download the comic if you like as well. If they want to view it on the screen and just view it this way, you can do that. And let's go back. And they can go ahead and have a glimpse that there's going to be a project. And it's going to be explained. There's a video link for that. It's very, very user-friendly. I will give it that. It is absolutely so user-friendly, and I really appreciate the way it's laid out. I think with all the resources that we got that have this online component to it, this has been pretty rad for me to understand how it works. And I needed to take a lot of time with this. I've had it for like 2.5 months before I made this video, so I made sure that I knew what I was talking about. And that's just me. I don't show you anything until I know what I'm talking about. But here is like how an episode looks of Mosa Mack Science Detective.
We're not going to get rid of the giraffes. We're just going to move them.
Now, this particular one is not an animated series. It's just the comic one. I will show you what the animated series looks like, just so you can get an idea. So anyway, that's it. Is step 1. So it's laid out step 1, step 2, and continue on from there. So if there was something that you had to scroll past, to get to the next one, it would have it all under the same steps. So you have the killer giraffe and vocabulary mind map. So step 2. Would match it up here. So you would just drag it and drop it to where it belongs and then submit your answer. So let's say you want to just go ahead and do this together with your kiddos. You can do that. So you would just go ahead and drop, I'm just randomly, I'm not even reading what it says, but you just drop it in the box, and let's say they mess up, you can just put it right back on there. So they don't have to type anything, they don't have to write anything if they don't want to. They have like different ways of doing this. If they, if you don't want to have like a lot of heavy writing and stuff, but they're still able to show their work. And then when they're complete, you would hit submit, and then they would get the next step or whatever else they need to do under this particular exercise. So then now you have episode questions, right? So why is the council representative trying to move the giraffe? And then they would go ahead and just, type their answer. And then you would save or submit or anything like that. And then it says you have answers 0 of 9 questions and whatever not. Then let's move over. So do you have to complete each step? Let's say you don't want your kiddos to do the vocab for whatever reason. They can move over and do something else. It's going to let them move on. So that's cool. So Mosa Mack test your knowledge. You would go ahead and start the quiz, and then it will just go, okay, get started. Woohoo, there we go. And then we start answering stuff. And then here is your answers. You're going to see everything on here to cover everything that was asked for you before, so they can do some self-checks as well and do that. Okay, and then here, let's go to in the labs, the students will, time required, it's going to show them the standards, it's going to show in-person directions and remote directions. So let's say that you are working with an older child and you just want them to do something independently, you can choose remote directions. That would be equivalent to what an online student would be doing. And then, so here's the presentation and the introduction, and then you can download notes. And sorry, I had to take a drink before. This is a lot of talking, you guys. All right, so then let's review. And then it's just gonna, tell them step by steps what they're gonna do. Obviously, I picked some random lesson right now. So things will be a lot different. It was like something was chem or whatever. Not a lot of questions, resetting, and then just like, I just want to give you, surfaces, predict, behavior, senses, draw conclusions. So you're going through the scientific method. They're getting used to all that. Again, you would set them up so they can have to be able to log in or stuff, or just with homeschooling with us, I'm just having them work under me, but I also have the Google Classroom set up so I can send it to them. And then project results, show you an example. So this one was fairly simple. And then again, you can always look ahead in the overview of the complexity of it. Engineering, this is the activity for that. And then we go from there. And let's see, grade new work. If they would submit anything to you, if you're doing everything digitally, it will appear here. And you will see anything that your student has completed so you can grade it. And just go ahead and do that. So let's go back and show you the real setup. All right, so let's say we want to start with life science. Here is the first lesson, from molecules to organism, and then you see everything broken down. So this is what's highlighted here is lesson 1. So let's say we wanted to start, you're pretty good with photosynthesis, you want to go right into cells. Okay, let's go into cells. All right, here is your unit cells overview, just as we showed you before. You're going to go to the unit. You can assign it to your student. You can drop it into your classroom so you can easily navigate and find them. And here you're going to see the 2 different options. Now you can do both. We do both. So here is the animation. I'm just going to skip because we already know how this stuff, and this is where you see the Mosa Mack one. Music for you.
Oh man, that was a steep one.
Okay. All right, so it goes through this whole little episode, and it is way more mature than the Magic School Bus or anything like that. And it's like a 8-minute episode or so. You could also do what I call like the realistic one. And then this was like the video that was played, which my kiddo was super excited about. Anyways, so there's a lot of like real, like non-animated videos and things like that throughout. So that's pretty rad. I don't want to play it for too long because the music background on it, then I would probably get dinged for copyright music or something because they're nuts here. Anyway, so here you will see for this particular one. So if this is the track that you're doing, cells in action. These are like the actual, instead of the animated section.
A pond on a beautiful spring day. What could...
And I want to pause you. Okay, there we go. All right, so you see the same kind of setup from one cell to many, cells in action, episode questions, self-definition, cells and cells, live vocab. Again, you can go ahead and just like match it and move. I have no idea what that's saying right now. I'm just kind of just moving things. I can't read and talk at the same time. Can you guys do that? I can't. I mean, I can read like the general stuff. But I can't like read and comprehend and talk. Does that make sense? I don't think I made any sense saying that. All right. So here is a little bit like, especially if you're in the younger range. We did both because my kiddos like the animated series. But then they did more of the questions and stuff on the other end. But here you can see my internet's acting slow. You can match the cards. With the nucleus, brain cells, small intestine, mitochondria, muscle cells, and cell membrane. Ooh, I can't talk. This is already filled out because my kiddos already did it, and they did it under my login, and that's why it's already there. And then here's the quiz. And this song is pretty rad. I can't play it, but it says all like the answers of everything that was asked. So I think that was pretty cool. But if your kiddos are just like, I don't want to deal with the animated stuff, then you can just stick to here. Again, in-person directions and remote directions is set up the same way. There is just so many things that I can go over and over and over, and we could be here all day, but we don't have all day. So I just wanted to give you a general idea of what I wish I was able to see that I was unable to find when we were looking at this option to include in our school year. So I hope that this was helpful and that you are able to get a good idea of what it is, because it's like I think I paid like $100 for the year, and I think it's worth it. I personally think it was definitely worth it. So here you can see any additional resources that they will list, any previous versions, share student work, share with colleagues or whatever level reading and all that jazz. Here, just so you can see the classrooms, I just have our school, Raven Prep, and I listed my 2 kiddos under that. And then you go from there. Again, you have like that library where you can look at everything, or you can just look at how it's set up for you, life science, earth science, and all that as well. And then earth system, physical science, engineering, all that, and go from that way. So let's just, click on stuff and go from there. And then my desk is where you would add any kind of things that you have there. But if you want something specific, or you can just go ahead and type something specific that you want to work on. But here's the units, and then you can explore however you like. And then again, when you're seeing the overview, it basically tells you what the lessons are tailored for, and what they're aligned for. I'm just showing you the scope and sequence again. So again, this is 4th to 8th grade. I think that's a pretty good idea of the rundown of this. So I'm just going to stop there. So this is not painfully long. Ooh, I love this one. Mutation. You just, real quick. Let's look at one more. Again, so you have the mystery, but again, you have the option. So you're in animation right now, and you can go here, and then you can view the actual, realistic videos, which like the real ones, and go from there. And then again, you can click to copy and send. So there's a lot more to this that if you keep exploring, that you'll get, I'm sure I'll get more and more comfortable explaining other parts to it. But that's just a general idea to give you a tidbit of how it is, and if this would be an option for you guys or not. So especially with middle school, I know the options kind of dwindle down a lot. So just wanted to share anything that I have been researching for a while in my finds, and I hope that helps. If there was anything that I did not answer and you wish that I would have gone over, or something you wanted to know a little bit more about, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I will go ahead and link their regular page for you. As you can see, it's just, what the cost is, but you can do a free unit. I think it's a unit or a lesson or something like that, and try it out. And hopefully this was enough to tell you if this is something that you want to adapt or try or whatever not, especially if you are teaching multiple kiddos. That's something I didn't talk about. So teaching science family style, this is definitely I think a really cool options to do, because it lends itself that way. Plus you can use more of like the animated series questions, that you can see how it was laid out, the vocabulary and anything like that. But then when you saw the realistic type of videos, I call it realistic, but they were real videos because they're cells. Anyways, when you saw those videos, you saw that the steps were longer and there was more to it, because those are for their upper middle schools and such. But maybe your kiddo is younger and ready for that more in-depth look. So it really lends itself to adjust it up and down as much as you need to, or not having to adjust it at all, because you have like the lesson preps for the younger kiddos and then for the older, and being able to do everything in between. So you can teach the same topic and have them do different expectations and different things depending on that. And that's where it comes in handy if you do actually set up, like I haven't done, the classroom setting and being able to like send them their individual assignments. I do it in the Google Classroom part, that has worked for me, and to send it to the kiddos just so they get into that. It's not because of anything but them getting into that habit of knowing how to receive an assignment, especially when they do dual enrollment and take college classes, and being able to know when they receive an email or an assignment and how to click and things. It's just the act of doing that, right? But anyways, it lends itself. If this video was helpful for you, I greatly appreciate if you share. That is always an awesome way to say, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. So thank you guys. And because there was a few bloopers in here, stick around for some bloopers because we're gonna keep it fun. Was there anything with the S's that I cannot talk? Take 20. Science. Please learn to